Good morning, Cardinals fans, and what a beautiful morning it is. Guys, it felt like a dream waking up this morning. The Cardinals are 6-3 after a wild finish last night over the Bills at State Farm Stadium. But before we get into this one, let me introduce you to my breakfast club. I'm Lisa Matthews, Jody Jackson, Felipe Corral, and Kyle Odegard here with you. Let's get right into the main dish, shall we? It was a delicious one. The Cardinals get the win in dramatic fashion. 32-30 was the final. Guys, we're going to get into our favorite moments of the game in this one, but no doubt the ultimate jam is the Hail Murray. What we saw last night happen. My goodness, let's pay some respect to this. Get all of our immediate reaction when we saw this play go down. Kyler Murray, it was a 43-yard bomb to D-Hop. Somehow he came down with it. Kyle, your immediate reaction.
I'll give you my vantage point. I was kind of on the concourse area. So when I watched it, once Kyler Murray got away from that near sack and I saw him throw the ball, I saw DeAndre Hopkins posted up against two guys, and I felt like this is a lot better chance than a regular Hail Mary because you got arguably the best receiver in football against only two defenders instead of four sometimes at a Hail Mary. And once I saw the trajectory of the ball, I thought it had a good chance. And lo and behold, DeAndre Hopkins comes down with it. He's been a Cardinal for less than a year, and he already has one of the most memorable plays in franchise history.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I was in the press box, so I can't really see. It's the complete opposite end of the field. And I'm just thinking he's got a shot, though, because like Kyle said, Kyler was able to evade a couple of guys. And I mean, his arm strength is, there. He can make that throw. And then when I realized that he got it, it was a little bit of a delay because it's really quiet in the press box. So I'm kind of jealous of you, Lisa, being right out there, kind of on the concourse. I mean, it was probably really exciting to hear the crowd noise, but wow. I was amazed. I've always had nightmares about Hail Marys from Hail Flutie. I was about 10 years old when Boston College beat Miami, and me growing up in Miami as a Hurricanes fan, I was like, oh, I've always disliked the Hail Mary. But then over the years, it's so hard to complete a Hail Mary in the NFL. You don't see it that much. So this was amazing. I think it's what we all needed, isn't it?
Most
the Cardinals got bit by one in 2015 in the NFC divisional round when Aaron Rodgers threw the one to Jeff Janis to force overtime. So it's a little better for the Cardinals to be on the other side of it. Huh, Felipe?
I saw a comparison of both of those plays. I forgot where I think I saw it on like NFL Network. It was around the same yard line in the same end zone, practically the same type of catch. Luckily, it was on, in our favor. But have you guys watched that movie Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler?
Yes.
The anxiety that movie gave you. I mean, that was me in that last offensive drive. It was just unbelievable. And, a lot of people credit, obviously, Hopkins with that amazing catch. But, K1's ability to scramble out of the pocket, that offensive line who's been outstanding throughout the course of the season. Typically when a quarterback scrambles out of the pocket, I mean, there's always the possibility of that holding call just to try to contain that defensive line. But just for the offensive line to do their job and for K1 to evade and have that combination of speed, being able to evade a sack and the arm strength. I mean, I always say it week after week, he's your typical Madden create my player type of guy, and he keeps demonstrating that.
And Hopkins' hands, you guys, the way that, we all know he has those big hands. He used them for something last night. To be able to come down with that ball, and I love in the press conference post game, he said 2 + 2 = 4. That's how he's looking at this thing. So again, this becomes an instant classic for this team for years to come, something that I will never forget. And you guys kind of touched on it, Jody. I'm surprised you didn't see me jumping up and down. I was on the concourse near our post-game set going crazy. I will probably never be allowed back in the press box. I will give you that, or on the sidelines, because, we have to act. I was acting like them. I could have been rushing the field with them if I had the opportunity to. I think my favorite thing is the fact that I am just a couple rows behind Kyler Murray's parents, and I get their full reaction after something like this. I will never forget it was a very similar face to DJ Humphries that he had after the game, looking at Missy Murray, his mom, and she looked back at me and her face, pure shock, pure shock. I mean, you have to know that there had to be a chance for this to happen when you saw, I mean, I saw what, 11 seconds left. I was kind of thinking, okay, throw this up, make me right, because I did, let's not forget, I did predict this to a T in the pregame show. Don't know how that happened, may never happen again. But I was like, if Hopkins comes down with this, like, I'm just gonna walk out of here.
What else can you tell us about the future, Lisa? Because we could use that power right now.
We need it.
Or even have the Seattle game. Maybe drop something on us at the end of this show about what we'll see
I
on
would
Thursday.
love to tell you that I, did some extensive research leading up to this game, that I have some crazy football IQ. However, it was mainly me thinking, okay, this is going to be a shootout. I have a feeling it's going to go down to the wire. For some reason, it was just in my gut, and I'm just going to roll with it. Hopkins with the game winner. And the fact that it came down like that.
Lisa, I just want to tell everybody, your clip has been going viral. It has over 500K views or something like that. I just want to tell y'all, I'm a friend of Lisa's, at Lisa Matthews AZ on Twitter.
No, the best thing is people
before she leaves us
asking me
behind
for lottery numbers, and I'm just like giving them random numbers. I'm like, yep, here you go. Hope this wins. Anyway, so many great moments in this one. Obviously, we can just relish over this Hail Murray over and over again, which I'm sure we will as time goes on. But let's get into our other favorite moments from this one. It's That's My Jam. And Kyle, you are leading things off with yours. What you got?
Hey, you're right. A lot of the other things got buried because of that Hail Mary, but I think there were a lot of key plays early on, especially the 4th and 5, where the Cardinals had the ball around midfield, and a lot of coaches in that situation are going to punt the ball, but Cliff Kingsbury decided to go for it. He was super aggressive, and Kyler Murray dropped back and found Dan Arnold for the first down, and the Cardinals were down 13-6 at that point in the second quarter and not moving the ball too well offensively. If you punt and then the Bills score, you're really playing catch up for much of the game, but they were able to extend that drive and then get a field goal out of it. So, you forget about plays in the first half when a game is that crazy at the end, but I thought that was a big play in the game, because if you don't convert there, Buffalo gets the ball around midfield itself with the lead, and there was a big impact, whatever happened on that play. And I thought a nice job of staying calm by Kyler Murray and a big catch by Dan Arnold on that one. How about you, Jody?
Yeah, I'm kind of leading into this with what you just said, which is staying calm by Kyler Murray, because I had a little bit of conflict on That's My Jam. When you have such a big play at the end and you're thinking, okay, what do I want to hit on? But I do want to give some love to Zane Gonzalez. He's up against yet another kicker here who seems like he can kick it from 60 yards out. Yeah. And he just made the field goals he had to make. He made a couple that were 44, 45 yards. So all the love to Zane Gonzalez for doing his job 4 for 4, keeping this team in the game, especially when it was 23-9 and they kind of had to chip away. But I'm going to go with the last drive, because even though you had the 43-yard bomb, the miracle, the Hail Murray, D-Hop, doing it, getting it done, the game winner, the walk-off, you had to get a little bit further down the field. And I liked the calm of Kyler Murray. I liked the calm of the entire offense to be able to get what I believe was about, what do we have? We had a completion for 14 and then a couple of 9 yards. So 32 yards, but they just got some short chunks. So my jam is keeping hope alive. Okay. Isabella right there. And of course they had their timeouts. They handled it pretty well. And I know everyone was deflated after that Diggs touchdown, but this team, they made some plays and you're thinking, oh, okay, these are short chunks. What's going to happen? There's D-Hop over the middle. And then here on this play to Larry Fitzgerald, I know there was some angst over maybe somebody opened down on the left side, and then Kyler is just trying to get whatever he can get right here. Every little bit helps in that moment. Larry Fitzgerald, super reliable. We saw that weird play earlier in the game where, it wasn't a very good throw to Fitz from Kyler, and it ended up being a pick. So they just did what they needed to do in those 3 plays. So those were 3 little plays that kind of set up the big play. And so that's my jam, just keeping that composure. 34 seconds and you're back on the 25-yard line, you got to stay calm. You got to believe. And I love that they did that. Felipe, what about you?
My jam is that second rush touchdown by Kyler Murray. And in terms of fantasy, obviously Kyler Murray's a fantasy god this season, putting up, monster points. But a lot of that, a lot of his rushing touchdowns are set up by dominating the run game. I mean, when you have three different running backs who have more than 50 rush yards, I know you're going to touch on Kenyon Drake later on, but his return was crucial. Chase Edmonds having, I believe he had 56 rushing yards, Kyler Murray 61. So when you have a dominating run game, those option reads become easier to execute. Those design runs by Kyler Murray are easier to execute because now if you're in the, within the 10-yard, within, 5 yards of scoring, now you have to prioritize. Do you defend Kenyon Drake? Do you defend Chase Edmonds or Kyler Murray? Now you have so many options to choose from, and it makes it easier when you do establish the run early on. And you saw it from that first offensive drive, the dedication to the run game on behalf of Cliff Kingsbury. And when you dominate the line of scrimmage from, both sides of the ball, offensively, Cardinals had 217 rush yards, but the Bills only had 73 rush yards in the game. So all those factors, you take all that into consideration and makes those rushing touchdowns by Kyler Murray so much more easier. And credit to the offensive line. I know we see these highlight plays from receivers like Hopkins and Christian Kirk, or, the highlights from Kyler Murray, who's given us plenty this season. But that offensive line to be in the top three as of November 10th, according to ESPN, and both, top three in both run block win rate and pass block win rate. Sorry. You just have to give that offensive line so much credit.
Yeah, the Wild Hogs coming through big time this season. Love it. Love to see it. I know we typically choose, a play or a moment from the game. I'm going to go post game with my jam. My jam was immediately following the game. What do we all do? We go to Twitter. Seeing LeBron James tweet out post game, "The King has spoken," kind of all what we all were saying. Wow, wow, wow. Like, Hop, can't believe you different, bro. Yes, he is different. So just seeing that tweet, immediate reaction from the King, LeBron James, and then everything that followed, you guys. I don't know if you were like me, but I was just glued to my Twitter feed after this one. Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton. There was some award show last night, I guess, was going on. I don't know. We were at a football game, but they were in their car listening and waiting to see the final in this one. I mean, just so much national love. That's something exciting for this team because we are something special. And now just to see the love, that is being spread through nationally, especially after something like this, it's exciting to see. So my jam is kind of just, scrolling through our Twitter feed. There's lots and lots of content coming your way. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel to see all of that coming up this week. Of course, it's going to be a short week, quick turnaround, 2 morning scrambles today, and then we'll see you again on Friday. But
I gotta say one thing about Kyle's tweet, because Catherine Fitzgerald, who covers the Cardinals for AZ Central, she's like, everyone's like, wow, like all the letters, the Cardinals account, Zach, and he's just, people are just losing their mind on Twitter, and it's flowing out through the stream, through the feed. And Kyle's, I believe it was something like, Kyler Murray completed a 43-yard pass to DeAndre Hopkins for the Hail Mary. Yeah, Cardinals win.
I went to journalism
very different
school.
Than Blake Shelton, who was having major physical duress. If you go back and read the tweet, I won't go there. But what was going through your mind, Kyle? Just stay calm, stay poised.
I watch games from a very detached point of view as with a journalistic background, where I just look at it like, this is what's happening in the game, and let me relay to Twitter what's happening. And apparently I didn't quite capture the emotion of the moment like everybody else.
Complete opposite of me, mind you. He's on one side of the concourse, I'm on the other. Yes, from a journalistic background, but let's be real. So complete opposite, and he's just like poised. Like every time I'm literally looking over at him like, oh my God. Like, I don't know, Felipe, I need you to come down there during the games and join me in this, because I'm going crazy. And he's just over here like, This happened? Okay.
We're just gonna add to Kyle's resume. I mean, he has his vocabulary, his memory, and now his like
Cool, calm,
calmness.
and collected.
Calm under pressure.
Yeah.
Calm under pressure. I mean, those. If you create a My Player on Madden, I know I mentioned it a lot. I think you would want to have those three qualities, the Kyle qualities: vocab,
Very
memory,
similar
and
to
coolness.
Kyle Odegard. Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but all praise to you. All right, guys, let's go inside now the victorious locker room speech where Cliff Kingsbury had something to say to his winning team.
Hey, I've never been a part of one like that on a Hail Mary. Right? I appreciate y'all. That's the type of win that gets us rolling. The second half. That's the type you build off of. Right? You kept fighting. You practiced your ass off all week. It's a hell of a job. Now we set ourselves up for a Thursday night showdown. Right? Right? So let's celebrate this one about 12 hours. Now the 24. Right? Not the 24 this time. Get you 12 good ones. And then get back and get ready to play prime.
I love it, guys. He even said post-game in his presser, you know, he's never been a part of something like this. He was, in fact, speechless, as many of us were following that one. So it was good to see. I think a little smile from him, too, in the post-game. So that was nice to see as well. Now it's time to give out our game balls. It's our Rise and Shine Players of the Game. Kyle leading it off. Who you got?
This may shock you guys, but I'm going with DeAndre Hopkins. Just a really good game. You know, he had 7 catches for 127 yards and a touchdown. Even leading up to the Hail Mary, he was back to being that really dominant force on offense compared to against Miami when he only had 3 catches for 30 yards. Cliff Kingsbury wanted to feed him in this game. He said, I got to get my best wide receiver more targets. And you could tell there was a concerted effort to throw him the ball. And even on that Hail Mary play, they lined up DeAndre Hopkins on one side and they did 3 wide receivers on the other, trying to get pretty good matchup for DeAndre Hopkins. And it worked out where there was really only 2 guys on him until the third one came crashing in. So I thought that was a good play design. And the fact that DeAndre Hopkins, like we've talked about, can come down with that catch when all those guys were in good position, all of them timed their jumps well. DeAndre Hopkins just made a better play than anybody else. As he said in his post-game press conference, he dunked on him. Jody?
Oh, what a great play. Absolutely. DeAndre, the hero of the night. And I just realized, I think I left what did I do with my paper?
Uh-oh.
Let me see if I can find. No, you know what? I won't.
Call an audible, Jody.
I won't be able to find it in time. I'm going to go with Kenyon Drake because Kenyon ended up with 16 carries, 100 yards, and Felipe, you were talking about the line, and just Kenyon was there to hit those holes and make those plays. I mean, he averaged, I think, over 6 yards per carry. Doing that math in my head there. But, he was much needed. He was missed when he was out with that high ankle sprain. He didn't really show any effects. I was kind of concerned with, was he going to be full go? Because that's a very painful thing, a high ankle sprain. And he came back relatively quickly. I didn't see it. When you look at him and Edmonds and then Murray's ability to run, I mean, the rushing game, like you guys talked, Lisa, you mentioned over 200 yards rushing. But I love Kenyon Drake is kind of like that piece. I mean, it doesn't work without all 3 of them doing it. But Kenyon was really missed when he wasn't able to be out there. And so love to see it. And that rushing attack, if these 3 guys are healthy, I think it's very, very potent. And I think it's something that when you look at going into this race now, 6-3, NFC West, that's the thing that Seattle's missing, in my opinion. It's the thing that if you have a championship team, you want to be able to run the ball with multiple guys, multiple looks, and they're doing it. They're the numbers. So Kenyon Drake, welcome back. Great to have you. And even though he didn't get in the end zone, he did everything out there between the lines to get them down into that red zone. And I know they had some red zone woes before the Hail Mary and before Murray started running it. But Kenyon Drake, big time player yesterday in that win. And Felipe, how about you? Who are you going with for your Rise and Shine player?
I'm going with Patrick Peterson, P2, because he tied his interception total, his highest interception total since 2016 with 3. Obviously, that's not a lot. But one interception, 2 pass deflections, which resulted that interception resulted in a rush touchdown by Kyler Murray, the one that I touched on earlier. But overall, the secondary, the return of Drake Kirkpatrick, Byron Murphy, they impacted the game in ways that you won't necessarily see on a stat sheet. Obviously, Drake Kirkpatrick had that interception as well. But the return of those guys to have a complete secondary, and I know Buda Baker touched on it in his presser before the game. He said, if we can get a complete game as a team from, both sides of the field, you're going to have a good result. And I mean, to hold Josh Allen to his third lowest completion percentage of the season, 65%, his QB rating was 77. I mean, coming off a game where Josh Allen put up, and that offense put up 41 points against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, it just makes a difference. And people always get on Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator, when this team doesn't necessarily do well on that side of the ball. But you got to give him his credit when, his game plan coming into this game, to hold Josh Allen, basically contain them in the pocket for most of the game. He likes to scramble. And, aside from that touchdown that they gave up to Cole Beasley following that Kenny Drake fumble, I mean, secondary was pretty good. I mean, this defense was pretty good in general to give up, 23 points if you take away that touchdown following that fumble. It was a great game plan by Vance Joseph yesterday.
Yeah, Felipe, and third time's a charm for Peterson. He had his hands on 2 possible interceptions before that, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's so close. And finally to get that one, it was good to see. And obviously hope that they come in bunches because this team hasn't created a lot of turnovers. So to see that, hopefully there's more to come this Thursday in Seattle. All right, my rise and shine player of the game, gonna go with K1. I love it, P2, K1, all of our little nicknames. But yeah, I mean, come on, are you kidding me? How can I not go with Kyler Murray? Everything that he's done, obviously leading up to this game. Yes, the Hail Murray, it doesn't happen without K1, the way that he was able to evade pressure, but just game after game, what he's able to do. Not only he's becoming a lot more accurate in the air, as we saw some of those questions early on, I would say, in the season, but his accuracy, what he's able to do with his feet. When miracles need to be made, need to happen, I think we can all count on K1 now after what we saw last night, and you want that from your quarterback. And he also became the first quarterback since 1956 to rush for a touchdown, like that one right there, in 5 straight games. And he has 10 rushing touchdowns in 9 games. So it's hard to not imagine, what this year will look like. MVP, I don't know, going forward for him. He's definitely in the conversation and he deserves to be so, guys. I mean, you look at him and what he's able to do week after week. He's exciting to watch. Also, just the way that he's leading the team. And I know it was touched on a lot last week. He was so upset after that loss. Not after this one, though, not after this win. But he was so frustrated, obviously, after, losing to the Dolphins. And we saw that emotion come out of him. I'm sorry. I want that from my quarterback. I want them to crave to win after every single game. To have that want to, you need that. And the way that he's leading this team, and he expects that from his players too. I think it's awesome to see here in year 2 already take so much ownership of this team. Yes, he came in with all the confidence, but now to really see him leading here is something great to see. And I'm excited to see how this season plays out. I cannot believe we're only at the halfway point here.
Lisa, when you said MVP, though, I mean, this game was a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
I mean, because look at the plays that he made with his feet. No one else in this league can do that. Yeah. I mean, there are guys that can scramble, but not like him. I was reading Peter King's article this morning. He talked about his conversation with Kyler, and he described his running as pistons for legs. And I mean, there's no one else in this league that's playing quarterback that runs like that. And I just think it's a game changer. I think it's such a great sign, not only for him to maybe be MVP, but for this team to go far. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think that we can now after week 10, game 9. I think it's
Lisa, make one of your bold predictions. You have that ball where you can
I know,
predict the future.
I can't do that. Watch the pregame show. That's all I'm gonna say.
There you
Ooh,
go. I
good
like that
segue. Good
tease.
segue.
Nice
I
plug,
think
guys.
I think right now Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson are your top three in the MVP race. But if you want to make an argument that Kyler Murray is fourth or top five, I think that's a legitimate argument. And I mean, it's such lofty territory to talk about somebody being MVP. So even if he finishes as the fifth best quarterback in his second season, that's still an incredible accomplishment and a great sign for where this team is heading. So I agree with you guys. I think the way he's playing, he's right up there. I don't think he's quite there yet, but he's been unbelievable, especially from week 5 on. And I agree with Jody. The Cardinals are right in the midst of everything in the NFC, in large part because of Kyler Murray.
Well, we see the correlation, Kyle, with MVP has to have a team that's winning. So we will see how this team, it takes everyone. As we saw against the Dolphins, Kyler probably had one of his best games thus far in his pro career, but it takes everyone. So we will see how things shape up here going forward. As we wrap things up here, we are bringing home the bacon, doing things a little different here. I want little bacon bits from each and every one of you. Before we close this one out, the Cardinals, yes, are 6-3 heading into Seattle, which feels yet again like one of the biggest games in recent history. Cardinals have a pretty good record on the road over there, but they will be without the 12th man over there in Seattle. So they'll have no fans in the stands, no 12s out there. So a little bit of a different atmosphere. I know that the Cardinals love to thrive off of going over there and silencing the crowd, but it's a big one coming up here, Kyle.
Yeah, and I think it's clearly a three-way race now for the NFC West. The Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Rams are all 6-3. And you look at some of the percentages, odds people are giving the teams. I think the Seahawks are the favorite now, but very barely. I mean, it used to be the Seahawks were very much expected to win this division, and those chances are coming down. The Cardinals are surging. The Rams are playing well. It's going to be a great 7-game stretch run to see who comes out on top.
I mean, the Seahawks are slumping right now. I mean, they really don't look very good. Russell Wilson is turning the ball over. I mean, maybe you're catching them at just this right time because they really are lacking confidence. And I think it's because it does stem from a lot of their problems on defense, their injuries. I know they have a lot of injuries. And this Cardinal team, you know, I love that they've been able to fight through some of the D-line wise yesterday. And I'm praying Corey Peters, you know, maybe it's not as bad as it seemed to be, but when you see everyone going over to him, you know, that was hard to watch because he's really one of the guys that's the heart and soul of this team. And but they have, just like that Seahawks game, I was thinking back to that game when they were down a few linemen and you saw other guys step up. Yesterday it was Coley and Blackson and Morrow. And so I love the fight of the defense when the chips were down. And I hope that that continues this week because I think it'll be another battle though. I mean, these games every week seem to be, they're highly entertaining. It would be great to go out there and just dominate and maybe win by a bigger margin, but I'm not going to count on it. Maybe on the short week, a lot of emotion, but I do love that that team said, you know, last night they said 12 hours moving on. They have to physically, mentally get right into Seattle, Felipe, because it's going to be another fun game. I have a feeling.
Lisa, just going off what you said about, you know, it seems like every game is important at this point. And I think Patrick Peterson touched on that last week before the game. These next 8 games are basically, you know, must-win games, playoff games, if that's how you want to categorize it. But I was going through the schedule and, you know, aside from that Panthers game, 6 points, they lost to the Lions by 3. They lost to the Dolphins by 3. 6 points, you know, keeps this team from being 8-1. I mean, again, and you contribute that to, you know, injuries, obviously missing Chandler Jones in specific games, missing Budda Baker in that Panthers game. So once this team comes together, hopefully they can stay relatively healthy and get to a comfort level on both sides of the ball. I think, you know, you figure out to win some of these close games and they can be dangerous heading in, hopefully into the playoffs if they're still in playoff contention. So 6 points, I mean, that's, you know, and a missed field goal obviously makes a difference. You can be 7-2 potentially. You know, so many factors can go into losing those 2 close games to the Lions and to the Dolphins. But 6 points, that does sink.
That hurts when you say it out loud, Felipe. Ouch. Thanks.
I'll try to whisper it next time.
We're riding high right now. No, you're right. I mean, so much potential here. And you know what? Thursday is going to come around quick. I love, Jody, that you brought up, yes, in the post game there, talking about 12 hours, enjoy, have a tequila con piña, whatever Buda Baker was having.
I was looking for some pineapple juice. I didn't have any here.
You could have done pineapple and champagne for mimosas.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see Kyle sip on tequila and piña. That's just like with his headset on, with the little tequila glass on the side.
Staying so calm. Just.
I've never tried it, but that sounds pretty good. I'm a big pineapple juice guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Try some tequila with it.
You gotta try it.
I would pay to see that. I want to see Kyle, in that.
Maybe Friday morning.
With his headset.
You guys, I think we're gonna have to do that Friday morning because we will be back here Friday morning, 10 a.m. for the morning scramble to see, talk about whatever happens in Seattle. It's gonna be a good one. We know that. Thank you all for joining us this morning for the scramble. Make sure you subscribe to our official YouTube channel for all of our exclusive content coming your way this week. There's gonna be some great things to watch. This is our Victory Monday. We're ready. We're ready to call it out. We're ready to enjoy the rest of the day, guys.
Some coffee. Let's go get some coffee.
Let's do it. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you in just a few days.